Good morning. So we have talked a lot about clearing and removing subconscious blocks, but one of the things we really haven't covered a whole lot is once you get through all that and you start feeling a little bit better, I think there's a very good exercise that people can do. It's going to look a little bit like a family tree, but really it's not. It's going to be more for qualities and actionable items. So how this will work is what you're going to do, if you can, is get a sheet of paper, or if you have a whiteboard or chalkboard or somewhere that you can write down. What I want you to do is make a list of at least 10 qualities that, if you could visualize yourself as what you would really want to be, how you would really want to be if you were to look at yourself up on a big screen TV and you were an actor in your own show. What qualities would you want to have? And just list those qualities. List them all. And then what I want you to do is, for each one of those qualities, you're going to go through and give 3 different areas where each one of those qualities would be important in your life. So, for example, if you wanted to say, I'm powerful, for example, I could say 3 areas where I could be powerful. So I could say, I could be more powerful in my career. I could be more powerful as a mom. I could be more powerful in my exercise routines. So, and then the next step down, or we'll do one more layer, is to give some kind of an actionable item for each one of those things. So if I wanted to be more powerful as a mom, for example, I could try being more informed, right? If I wanted to be, the best mom I can be, I could try being more informed. So being more informed would be my next thing. And how could I be more informed? So we're going to take that to the next level of an actionable item. So I could make it a point to say, and on the actionable item stage, I just want you to be realistic. So when you get to an actionable item, you're going to say something simple, taking one step forward in that direction. Something that you could do right now or this week that would be something easy, fairly easy to get you on that track. So when you do an actionable item, in this case, I could say, I'm going to stop at the bookstore and get a book on how to be a great parent. Or I'm going to do some research today online and, try and find someone to model after, to learn more, so that I can be a very powerful and effective parent. So, or if it was my exercise routine, I could say, okay, I'm going to make a point to make a commitment to 3 days of doing something every week. It could be anything, just to get us moving in that direction. And the part of the reason why, and you would go through that for each one of these, every one of these things. And let me back up, because I want to say, let's say for career, if I wanted to be more powerful in my career, I could say I'm going to set some goals. Okay, for example, I'm going to make sure that when I come in every morning that I set my goals for the day. So these are just like a few examples of how we can make actionable items based on, and so what I want you to do is make your list of 10, and then for every 10, I want you to focus on 3 areas. And it doesn't have to be like career, family. I mean, it could be a branch of, or a quality within that you want to focus on. So, powerful could be self-love. It could be a focus of self-love. I want to be more powerful in my own, in loving myself. It doesn't have to be a family, relationships, blah, blah, blah. But so go where your mind goes. Follow that train of thinking. But at the end of each one of those aspects, I want you to get to where you have an actionable item. If you want more than one, that's okay. But I think the real key here is to make this something that is manageable. So I really wouldn't say shoot for the stars. This is going to be something where we're going to make these things actionable. And we're going to ask the question, well, how come we'll make it so simple? Or why only do one thing? Why only set it up for there's one thing? Because this is something that would be great to try and do. I mean, if you can manage it daily, that would be great. But I think it'd be probably more realistic to do it maybe once a week, even once a month, depending on what your actionable items are. And keep going back to this list. Keep going back to this list frequently. And keep setting up these new actionable items. And the reason is this. It's so easy to feel overwhelmed when we say, well, I can never get there. This is common. It's really common in any aspect of your life. I mean, you could be working in a job and you have, 40 people dump something on your desk and you're like, I don't know where to start. And I think the concept of feeling like we don't know where to start is debilitating. It's very debilitating because it's so overwhelming that we just throw up our hands and say, I just don't know where to start. As a parent, I would walk into my kids' room and I would look at the room and they have, turned everything upside down and it's just chaos in there. And I'd say, hey guys, you need to start cleaning. And they would just throw up their hands and say, we don't know where to start. This is too big. We can't do this. We can't fix this. It's too big. And in a lot of ways, we are kids. We're in a lot of ways, we are just big kids. And we see this giant mess in our life and we say, I don't know where to start. And it's so overwhelming. So what we want to do is we're going to say, here's where I'm trying to get to, and I need that first step on the path, and then the next step on the path. And what I like to do is what we're doing is we are shrinking our basically we're narrowing our point of focus to make it, instead of looking at the entire room when we walk in, we're just looking at one area or one thing or one, even one object that we just need to pick up one thing at a time. And before you know it, not only are you sending that energy and that message out to the universe, out to God, out to, just you're sending out that message. And by taking that step, you start to resonate with that theme. So you're becoming that, and in becoming that, you will receive more of that. And so you're going to literally be putting out this energy of I'm powerful, and you're going to be taking an actionable step towards it as much as possible, and that will start to become you. You will become that by just taking these steps. So, but we're really making it so it's palatable, so it's not so overwhelming. And it's, it's one of these things where, I guess one of my favorite stories, I was doing a goal setting class, and one of my favorite stories is I was having fun with it, and I was talking to my son about cleaning his room, and I said, let's do this goal setting set of questions. And what he ended up with in the end was so shocking to me, because his whole concept was that it's too big, the mess was too big, and he didn't know where to start, so he didn't try. And so his solution, because the whole point is for people to come up with their own solutions, because that's how change really happens. It's not about people telling you what to do and you doing it. It's more about you coming to your own conclusions and taking action. So for him, he ended up with the end result being that instead of starting with the biggest projects, he started with the smallest projects. And by starting with the smallest projects, he could get it done. So he taught himself a new way of thinking so that he could tackle his room. And now he really doesn't have any problem at all cleaning his room. In fact, I've never heard him again say, this mess is too big, I can't handle it. that has not come out of his mouth since we've done it. And I think that is basically the fundamental basis of this concept. It's really about saying, I'm starting with the smallest things first. That's what I'm starting with. And then it becomes a completely doable thing. Because really, Rome wasn't built in a day. It starts with the foundation. Then we move on to, so I mean, it's basically, you got to start small, start a little small, and do a couple of things and take a few steps that are actionable and easy to do in that right direction. And then it'll start feeling a little bit easier and a little bit easier. And before you know it, you'll have made some pretty great progress headed in the direction that you want to go. And as with the block clearing, I mean, you are in control. You're the one that gets to step through the doors of your choices, and you get to make these choices, but you shouldn't be hitting any more roadblocks because of the block clearing that we've done. And if you are, then we just go back to the drawing board and test for some questions and try and identify if there's something else there that, may not have been on that master list. So basically, you're going to go through every one of those 10 things. You're going to establish 3 areas within each one of those aspects, and then take an actionable step for each one of those 3 things. So at the end, you should have 10 lists at the top, 3 below each one of those, and 3 below each one of those. So it would be 1, 3, and 3, if you were to be looking at it in kind of a tree flow down chart. You can set up more than one actionable item for each one of those 3, but I would like you to try to just start small and just keep it basically under each quality. So if you were shooting for power, you would have 3 actionable items to taking your power back. If you find it to be really fun, or if you just want to have some choices of which actionable items that you feel like doing off that list, yeah, I mean, you could feasibly set up 3 for each one of those. So you'd have 9 actionable items, or 9 potential actionable items. If you like having choices, or you're not sure which ones you'll be able to get to that week, that's fine. Make this fun, but really it's about understanding the concept of just taking these small steps. And the small steps are much bigger than you'd think they are, because really half the battle is just getting started. And when we really break it down at this level, it really feels so much simpler. And you can, be assured that you're taking these steps towards bringing in this new you by doing this. You don't have to be at the end of the marathon. You don't have to have won overnight. It's really not about winning. It's really not about ever achieving, reaching some end goal. I think that really, at the end of every day, if you can say to yourself, I've made some progress today, and that feels good, and that's my only goal, is that I made progress today. Really bring it down. Make it realistic. Set some real goals for yourself. That's good. But I want you to keep it realistic. You need to be able to feel like at the end of each day, if you've done something to put yourself on track, then it really doesn't matter all the stumbles or falls you took that day, because you took one step in the right direction that you otherwise would not have done the day before. And that will make the difference. So just keep on doing that. And basically, I had a story shared with me about a person who had taken a lot of time, spent a lifetime collecting beautiful works of art, and wanted to have this beautiful home and have everything just laid out perfectly. And they finally got to the end, and they got everything set up. And no, this was like life goal here they had done, and they thought that once they had it all set up in the way they want it, that their life would be complete and they would be happy. And once they had everything set up perfectly, and they had achieved everything that they set out to achieve, they sat there and looked around and realized that it didn't change anything. It didn't change anything. They thought that once they got to the end of this, that once everything was set up perfectly, once they had everything that they could check off on their list, that things would be beautiful and perfect, and they were not. Really nothing had changed. So it's within you. That's where you're going to find your real joy. It's within you, nothing external. You can't find completion and happiness outside of yourself. We can experience joy within ourselves by having these external experiences, but we can also have the same external experiences and be miserable the entire way through them. It really is a bit of a choice. So when you set these goals to achieve strength and power and love or beauty, or whatever it is that's on your list of I want to be loving, I want to be compassionate, I want to be joyful, I want to, these are the qualities that you want to see. And sometimes you could even take somebody that you feel is such a great role model, and take some of the qualities from them, or take some of your favorite role models and write down some of their best qualities, the things that you would love to be, And by taking those small actionable items, you are them. You are those qualities. You're bringing those qualities in right now. And you don't have to be waiting to feel that way, to have the perfect setup, to be sitting in the middle of that room and realizing this didn't change a thing. You're taking actionable items. You want to be in that right now. And the only way to be in that, in your power, or in your compassion, or in your joy, or whatever it is that your qualities that you're looking for, the only way to be that is to take an actionable step towards that as much as you possibly can. So there's no end goal. There's no achieving some checklist is complete, game over, I win. It doesn't really work that way. It's about really achieving everything in a literally moment to moment basis. You're being renewed every moment. You're being renewed. And so take these steps to create in your life what it is that you want to become, what it is you want to see in yourself. And I'm sure these things already exist in yourself. And in some cases, these steps that you take may just be you allowing yourself to start seeing it. It's so common that I run into people that just think they're terrible people, and they're wonderful to everyone else. We see all these beautiful qualities in them that they just cannot see it. And maybe in some cases, taking these actionable steps is more about allowing them to see it in themselves. So that's also a real possibility that you already are these things to others, but you just can't see it for yourself. So please take the time. It really doesn't take that long. It's a really fun exercise, and it really allows you to mold yourself, or at least to really visualize yourself in that state. And I would really exercise that too. Take some time to close your eyes and just visualize yourself really being those things. How do you see yourself in your career when you have your power back, or your self-love, or or in your marriage or relationship, or in your children's lives, or apply it. Just take a little time and visualize each one of those traits. If you can visualize them all in one, great. But the more you can do that and get into that feeling, the more you're going to be empowered, and the more you're going to want to keep doing these actionable items, because it's just being in that feeling, and it should feel very good if it's the kind of qualities that you're choosing to make yourself feel good. So take these steps and give it a shot and see how that works for you. And if there's if you want to make it fun for yourself, some people like to do boards. You could also put up a board where you have these things mapped out, and make it fun. If you like art or art projects, you could really have fun with something like this. And another thing you can do too, you can put a picture of yourself in the middle of it. If you were to do a board, you could put a picture of yourself in the middle, and you can make this little tree diagram all around it. you know, and maybe post-it notes for what your actionable item is for that day, you know. Just get creative, have fun with this. This is really, being in your joy is going to be real key here. Just find ways to make this a fun project, especially because one of the things that I really try to steer clear from is I really have a tendency to back off from spiritual growth type work that becomes monotony, or people feel like it's a task that they have to do. That is not going to be very conducive to the change that you're shooting for. So if something's not working, don't use it. If this doesn't feel good, then move on to something else. But see if you can find something out there that speaks to you, that allows you to give yourself a new definition, to appeal to what you want to be. You know, there is so many programs and wonderful people out there with really original and cool ideas that are looking to help you remake yourself, to redefine yourself, to allow yourself to be something beautiful, or at least to see that you are beautiful. So get creative with it. You know, if this method doesn't work, I would super encourage you to find something like this that will work or speaks to you. But have fun with it, guys. Really, that's the best progress you're ever going to have in this type of on this type of path, is when you're really in joy, when you're really having fun with it, when you're feeling inspired. That's where the movement and the shifts happen. So please just have fun with it, and really, or find something that's fun. But look for yourself. Allow yourself to reestablish what you want to be. There's nothing holding you back. There is nothing stopping you except for your own shackles. So just drop them off and go for it. There is absolutely no harm in taking a little time to identify yourself and to really identify what you want to be. And this is the identify what we want to be and stage. So anyway, that's all I have to say on this, and I hope it's useful, and I hope you have fun with it.